Okie dokie. Well, tonight is on Charley horses, leg cramps, whatever you call them. I guess there's some people don't even call them Charley horses. Um, I was talking to a friend of mine and said about Charley horses. She laughed at me. She says, "What's that?" I thought everybody knew what it was, so we'll explain what it is. Basically, it's a muscle spasm or a cramp. And for me, I don't know everybody else, but for me, I typically get them in the early morning. Be laying in bed, sleeping, having nice dreams or whatever, and all of a sudden, I get this like very painful contraction of my muscle, most of the time in my calf. And it hurts. I either stand up and make it go away or whatever, but it hurts really, really bad. Another thing you can get is called shin splints, and I get these sometimes. Usually I get the Charley horses. And it's the same thing. It's a muscle, but it is on the front part of your leg rather than the calf of your leg. And when mine happens, it kind of twists my foot in a weird position. But you can get Charley horses anywhere. You can get, whenever I was in a car accident, I had a head injury and it ripped off the right side of my face. And I was getting Charley horses in my scalp, which is quite unique. It would get in a Charley horse. I didn't even know you had a muscle over your scalp, but evidently you do. But you can get them anywhere at all. Here is a YouTube thing. See if it plays for me. Yeah. This is a picture of a guy's leg in Charley horse. See how that muscle is contracting? It hurts really bad.
As a serious one, I've never seen like the actual muscle moving like that.
Yeah, it looks like it's infected or something.
It looks like what?
It's infected.
Okay, what's the word
That's
that
just
you're
his
saying?
calf. Infected? Is that just his calf muscle?
Yeah, that's his calf muscle.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, that's what they look like. I never look at mine whenever they happen because I'm usually trying to get rid of them. I don't even pay attention what mine look like. But yeah, that's that guy's calf going into a Charley horse. So they're called Charley horses, leg cramps, muscle cramps. There's other things that can happen called tic de la rue. Is wherever you have. Sorry about my dog. Hang on a second. Okay. How do you yell at my dog? Okay. So tic de la rue usually is whenever your head goes to the side and you can't straighten it up. It's like that muscle stays really, really tight, and it can be painful. I've talked to a couple people who had tic de la rue, and it's not quite as bad as Charley horse, but almost, and it's constant. They live with it constantly. Same with dystonia. Now, I remember the first time I had a Charley horse, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I told the doctor right away. And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just a Charley horse. You know, it's just a muscle. It's not that big of a deal." But your heart is a muscle. Angina is basically a Charley horse of the heart muscle. A tightening of that muscle. That's what angina is. And then we talked about the others already. There's more than one causes of a Charley horse. These are the most typical, and I don't even have pregnancy on here. I should. Denise, could you remind me to put pregnancy on this?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Medications is probably the number one thing. We're going to take these one by one. Medications for Alzheimer's, for asthma, anything that is a diuretic especially. high blood pressure medicine, stuff like that, has a lot of diuretics in it. Some heart medicines, which is crazy because if heart medicine causes a problem with the muscles and the heart is a muscle, that's kind of working against what you're trying to take care of here. I can never say this. Myasthenia gravis, you know what I mean? That where your like muscles start sagging. The medicines for that. Medicines for osteoporosis, for Parkinson's, statin drugs. Oh, big time statin drugs. Big time statin drug. So if you're on any of these kind of medications, then and you start getting Charley horses, you may have to talk to your doctor and say, hey, a side effect of this medication is Charley horses. I'm getting a lot of Charley horses. And as I said, you can't take them and just blow them off. For one thing, they hurt like crazy. The other thing, it can get into the heart, as I said earlier. This is probably the biggest. I put medication first because it's the easiest. Just have your doctor switch you off that medication onto one who doesn't give you Charley horses for the same thing. But this is probably the most common. The kidneys, the hydration, and your mineral levels. And they all work hand in hand. It's the kidney's job to pull out the potassium and dump it and recycle the sodium. That is what the kidneys are supposed to do. Because in nature, if we ate like the cavemen did, as it were, or like Adam and Eve, we would be eating a lot of potassium-rich foods that has less sodium in it, because that's how foods are set up. If you're on a diuretic, for instance, diuretics pull all the potassium out of your body. If you drink coffee, tea, or soda, that causes the body to pull all the potassium out as well. If you drink too much water, that can do, even water can do it. When I went to college, there's a kid that was being hazed for a local college, and he was supposed to drink 4 gallons of water. And we were in like a meeting place. It's like you can get some food, but they had a bar and stuff like that in there. And we were there, and he's drinking this water. We're making fun of him because he kept on going to the bathroom. And then all of a sudden, he went into convulsions, and he ended up dying. I had left before that happened. I didn't actually get to see it. But he went into convulsions, and he died. And when they did the autopsy, it's because he drank so much water, he peed out all his potassium. And if you don't have enough potassium body, you get Charley horses, but what happens after that is you can die. Again, your heart is a muscle. If you retain water, you probably do not have enough potassium. So the kidneys will clean out the uric acid and the creatine. It will balance the potassium and the sodium. It will keep the heart beating well, and you should not get Charley horses. If your kidneys are not working well enough, you may want to take something to help the kidneys. Would be like kidney activators, a really good one. And parsley is probably one of the better herbs. Parsley or combination potassium are one of the better sources of potassium. So you can get parsley and grow it in your house in pots and put fresh parsley in your salad and stuff like that all the time. You can buy it in a capsule. They do have parsley tea in some health food stores. Peaches contain a lot of potassium. Oranges do. So you could eat the foods that have a lot of potassium in it. too little water and you develop toxins, too much, and you wash out the potassium, sodium. If you start drinking water and your urine becomes colorless, now it should have a light yellow, a very, very light yellow, probably about this color yellow right here. That's what color, oops, not blue, just the yellow. That's about what color your urine should be. If it's really, really dark, then you're not drinking enough, or you're sweating a lot. If it's totally colorless, like this looks like it's water, then that means your potassium is severely and dangerously low. And people have died from that, from electrolyte imbalance. If your blood pressure goes too high, that can be a sign that you're lacking potassium as well. That's why they say it's the kidneys that regulate the blood pressure. And if you notice that people who are on dialysis or people who have kidney disease, almost surely is on some kind of blood pressure medicine. So any questions about hydration/kidneys?
Can your tongue tell you if you're retaining water?
Yes, good question. Your tongue typically goes like this. Well, better than that. But whenever you retain water because your kidneys aren't working well, you retain a little bit of it in your tongue. So what you often see is an impression of your, if you stick out your tongue, an impression of your teeth around your tongue. So like, it looks like it's scalloped on your tongue on the outside. So what you do is you keep your tongue where it should be, and then you pull it out and you look at it very quickly, and if you see it look like that, that indicates that you're retaining water, your kidney's not getting rid of the water the way that it should, for whatever reason it might be. Very good. I'm impressed, Denise. Not a lot of people know that.
I learned from the best.
Any other questions about this? So again, coffee, tea, and soda, bad. Good water, reverse osmosis water is good.
I have a question about that story that you told about the kid, like the 4 gallons of water. Mm-hmm. But when he has started to feel like cramping or something.
He did. He was getting Charley horses.
Oh, he was getting Charley horses. Okay, I didn't understand. I didn't hear you say that part. Oh, he was, but he didn't know why, obviously, because you don't know it.
No, it's just a, well, for one thing, yeah, he was. But I think he was like, 19 or 20, something like that. And he was starting to say he was getting Charley horses, but he had to do this within a day. So we met him right after school, which is like 4 or 5 o'clock. And he was already getting a little bit of a Charley horse. But it would take a while to get out of the muscles. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. And
no one really took him serious that he was not doing well until he went into convulsions. And by that time, they called an ambulance. Wow. And by the time the ambulance got there, he's dead.
Wow.
That happened in 1980, anywhere between 1980 or 82, because that's when I went to college, from 1980 to 1982, and that's when it happened. It happened in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. If I'm not mistaken, he was going to University of Pittsburgh in Johnstown. I know he wasn't going to our school, but all the college students would meet there, We'd have supper before evening classes. And I don't know if they have a write-up. If you want to Google it, if they might have a write-up about him. I don't know. But we went to school the next day, and we found out he died from drinking too much water. It just blew us away. Okay, any other questions?
No, I don't see anything.
Okay. All right, now this is on exercise. Lactic acid. I had these switched over. I'm sorry. Well, first let me show you this. These are the cells in our body. There's fluid that goes around every single cell. The cells aren't actually attached together. So they're not like this. They look like under a microscope, but if you get even a higher microscope, you can see that they're close, but fluid bathes these. It does so to take nutrients in and take toxins out. If you exercise a whole lot, your body will start releasing something called lactic acid. What happens is the cell muscles start to die, the weaker ones, and it releases this lactic acid. If the lactic acid mixes in a little bit, then usually people get a little bit sore. If the ratio between lactic acid and your pH is normal, it's not a big problem. But if you have other acids in your body, like dietary acid, let's say I drank a protein drink and I drank a soda and stuff like that, well, that acid, that dietary acid, is already bathing these cells, and then whenever you have the lactic acid being there also, that's whenever people start getting really, really sore. So let's say Denise and I go and exercise at the gym. She's in much better shape, and she's like 1,000 years younger than I am. So whenever we're exercising, the next day she might say, oh, I'm a little bit stiff. I might be like, oh, I can't even get out of bed. The difference between the two, even if you did the same amount of repetition and stuff like that, is what acid's already in your body. If your kidneys are not working well, then you also have uric acid. So you have the uric acid, you have the dietary acid and the lactic acid all in there, and it's so congested. And these people that have this or at this level sometimes can't, even if they don't exercise, they can't get out of bed. They have arthritis, their joints ache, their muscles ache, they get stiff when they don't move for a period of time because all the acid settles in the joints. So one of the things you can do to keep the muscles and the joints from having a problem with this is to keep your body as clean of acids as you can. To prevent lactic acid buildup from exercising, stay hydrated. So whenever you are exercising, it's good to hydrate while you're exercising, and after you exercise, it's good to drink a lot of water. You know, there's a saying, the solution to pollution is dilution. So if your body is toxic and you want to try to get rid of it, if you dilute it with water, the body can let it go out to the bowel, can let it go out to the kidneys. But if it's full strength without being diluted, it might damage the kidneys, so the body instead will stick this acid in the muscles, in the tissues, in the joints. And then that's why people get gout, arthritis, and things like that. Try to keep your pH balanced. Even if you aren't going to run a marathon or aren't going to go to the gym every day, if you keep it balanced, you will live longer and healthier. I believe that with everything I am. Another thing is to increase exercise gradually. You can't be a couch potato and then run a marathon. It's too hard on the body. You want to, walk out to your mailbox and back, and then maybe jog out to your mailbox and back, and then maybe go twice that far, and then 3 times that far, and keep building up every day. And this is very important. Rest between workouts. Not here, but where I used to live, there was a gym probably about 3 miles from my home. Now about 5 miles from my home, I guess. And everybody went there. It's called 219 Gym, because it was on Route 219. And all these people were coming to me with injuries and arthritis and all these symptoms, and they were all bodybuilders that went to this gym. When I asked them how often they exercise, I exercise an hour every day religiously. Well, that's not really good. That's too much. Unless you have been extremely active all your life, that is too much exercise for people who have a lot of acid in their body already. It's also important to be able to exercise, let the body drain out the acid, and rebuild those muscles. Then exercise again, let it clean out the acid and rebuild the muscles. So exercise, build, cleanse, build, exercise, cleanse, build. Do it like that is a lot better for the person. So these guys did nothing for years, then all of a sudden go to the gym every day, and they were having all kind of injuries. They're getting groin injuries, they were getting torn muscles, ligaments, tendons, all kind of craziness, because their body didn't have the time to recoup. It's really important to also breathe well, because there's 4 ways that the body gets rid of acid. It gets rid of it through the urine, through the bowel, through the skin when you sweat. So you should, after you exercise vigorously, you should take a shower to wash off that acid and toxins so the body doesn't reabsorb it. Not only does stuff come out of the body through the skin, things can go into the body through the skin. And then the 4th way is through our respiratory system. Sometimes you'll hear on the radio, we're having a snowstorm, so don't go eating a big meal and go out and shoveling. That is important because all the lactic acid and everything that's going on there is in your system from eating a meal, and then you shovel, it's going to even put more into that. So the breathing well before and after will help get rid of some of that acid. So if there's some reason you wake up and you got to eat breakfast because you're not going to be able to eat all day long, and you need to shovel the thing, at least make sure that you breathe through your mouth and breathe through your nose and out of your mouth the whole time to try to get rid of as much acid as you can through the lungs. There's a lot of people that will develop asthma when they exercise. That's because a lot of acid is coming out through the lungs. Typically, if you take something like Unidogato or whatever that'll pull the acid into the bowel, I've had people tell me they don't need their inhalers anymore whenever they get that acid from coming out, no longer coming out through the respiratory system. Okay, these are sources of potassium, as I said before: peaches, parsley, white beans, potatoes, beets, parsnips, spinach, Swiss chard, tomatoes. Tomatoes are acidic outside the body, but in the body, whenever the body uses the nutrients, it produces an alkalizing ash. Same with oranges. Bananas, avocados, and coconut water. These are things that are high in potassium. I would probably, if you're getting Charley horses or if you exercise a lot, I would try to ingest some of these every day. Any questions about the potassium or any of this so far? No? Okay. Magnesium is needed by the muscles. Magnesium is well known as a muscle relaxer. So, although most of the time what causes a Charley horse is a lack of potassium, once in a while it can be a lack of magnesium as well. Magnesium is much funner to eat. We have dark chocolate, avocado, nuts, legumes, seeds, bananas, and leafy greens. So you need to make sure you have enough magnesium so that muscle can relax too. If the potassium doesn't take care of it within a week that you don't get Charley horses anymore, then I would go try some magnesium. And then whenever you're exercising, make sure you warm up slowly and you stretch afterwards to drain out the acids. There's a guy, he doesn't do it anymore. I don't know if he moved or what happened, but there's a guy who used to jog in front of our house every day. In the wintertime, in the snow, he had earmuffs on or a cap, a jacket on, and then he had shorts on and sneakers. And every time I was just thinking, you're not letting that acid drain out whenever you're doing that. I felt like going out and just screaming at him, but I never did. So make sure you warm up. And you don't just warm up by like putting sweatpants on. Another way of warming up is stretching your legs and stuff like that, and move them a little bit. You don't want to go, roll out of bed and start jogging. Move around a little bit to get them warmed up. And you stretch them. There's certain stretches that you can do. You lengthen the muscles so they can drain easier. Another thing you can do, I don't think I have it on here, but you can soak in Epsom salts. That'll pull a lot of the acid out through the skin. Okay, these are things to keep the acid balance in your body. Try to keep stress out of your life, which is the hardest of all these things. Take care of your kidneys, eat a good diet, and here's a pH-balanced diet. If you click on it, let's see here. That didn't work. Anyhow, I can't click on it. It won't let me click on it. Don't know why. But if you go to Mary's Herbs, click on Miscellaneous, and then click on pH Foods. Or, you know what? Denise, do you have a copy of this you can send to people?
I think I do somewhere.
If not, if you email me, I will send it to you, okay?
Yeah, I can find it.
Okay. Make sure you drink water. Okay, we talked about all these other things. That's how you're going to keep your pH normal. As I said, Una de Gato appears to pull acid from the joints and the tissue, the muscles, into the bowel. So as long as you don't have Crohn's or colitis or something like that, this might be a good thing to do too. Start out slow and gradually build up. Do deep breathing exercises, not only after you exercise and while you're exercising, but afterwards once in a while will help get rid of a lot of this acid. I went to a class once, they said that everyone should do at least 15 sets of breathing exercises twice a day. And what you do is you breathe through your nose to the count of 8. You hold it for the count of 8. And you don't have to hold it while you're exercising. This is like in between times. Then you exhale, pursing your lips like you're blowing out through a straw. So we're talking like that kind of a thing. And do that at least 15 times twice a day. And you will get, that helps the body alkalize. Because you lose more acid than you would think by doing that. Okay, this is the stretching before and after you exercise. What you do is like that helps get rid of it here. This helps get rid of it there. Another one, if you're lifting weights, is you can put your hand behind your back and stretch your elbow straight up to the sky. If you go online, you can get a bunch of it. It tells you how to do it. Okay. Another thing that can cause Charley horses is if the muscles do not get enough oxygen. That can and circulation. It can be because your heart. Your heart. Either your blood's too thick, it's not getting there. And if you, let's do this again. Let's start with liver first. Back this up. Just rewind this for me, if you will. Okay, first is liver. When the liver is weak, it will pull circulation from the extremities to itself. So it's not uncommon for people who have weak liver to have cold hands or cold feet. If they're cold absolutely everywhere all the time, and I gotta wear sweaters, and they're cold everywhere, that's usually a thyroid problem. But if they're not uncomfortable anywhere else but their hands are really chilly, that's probably liver. Because the liver will, as I said before, pull the circulation from the fingers and the toes and the head to itself to heal itself. That happens, then you know you need to work on your liver. If your heart is not working well or not causing circulation, you can be lacking calcium, magnesium, or potassium. So making sure that you try to figure out which one of these you're lacking and then adding it. CoQ10 helps the circulation. If your blood is too thick, which is usually because your triglycerides are too high, vitamin E is helpful, and so is super omega-3 oils. Not only does water retention come from the kidneys, which is one place that you can have Charley horses come from, but whenever it swells, it pushes against the arteries and the veins. So I don't know if you ever took a hose when you were a kid and you would collapse the hose, either bend it in half or whatever, and it stops the flow. Or if, I remember one time whenever we were washing the car, I had run over the hose, and when we turned the hose on, it wasn't enough to collapse it completely, but the water pressure was really down. I had to get off the stupid hose. Well, that's basically what swelling happens. If the swelling of the tissue from the water retention pushes against the blood vessels, they have a hard time expanding, and it restricts the blood flow. Exercise, weakens the heart. Oh, lack of exercise weakens the heart. Okay, that makes more sense to me. So if you exercise all the time, a little bit all the time, it actually keeps the heart stronger, because the heart is like a muscle. If you have no muscle tone all through your body, how could your heart have muscle tone? Statin drugs mess up the circulation really bad. I'm very anti-statin drugs. We talked about the rest. Temperature can cause Charley horses. If you're too cold, that doesn't, the circulation doesn't happen. Like when you exercise, typically you get warmer. You get warmer because there's more circulation going on. Whenever something gets cold, if it gets too cold, you could actually, the extreme would be you can get frostbite, where the circulation doesn't happen at all, and your toes or your fingers or your ear or your nose or whatever can actually die because the arteries will restrict so much that no blood gets through and the tissue dies. Typically, your body being low body temperature doesn't help. Most people do not get Charley horses just because they have low blood temperature. Low body temperature. But if they have low body temperature in the wintertime, or if the fan or the air conditioning is blowing on them, then that can cause Charley horses. So try not to get too cold. Most people, it's not a problem. I need a foot out of the blanket sleeper, even in the wintertime. And I came upon this. I didn't find this anywhere. I just found this from me, and then I had to research it because I started to get Charley horses and foot cramps from having my foot stuck out of the blanket. Anybody else I want my foot out of the blanket person?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Okay, well, I cannot go to sleep with socks on, and I don't like my feet covered. I don't know what it is. I feel more comfortable the other way. But in the wintertime, I will get a sheet, and I kind of drape it over so that I don't get a Charley horse. Because although I don't like sleeping with my feet warm, I hate Charley horses even worse. Okay, so that's mostly what causes Charley horses. Has anybody here had Charley horses before?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not recently, though.
Not all people do. I've talked to some people that they've never gotten a Charley horse before. And I'm thinking, that's no fair. I'll give you one of mine. So now you know. You know what to do, just figure out what it is. But if all these things are the way they should be, you will not get Charley horses. And you know what, Denise? I was running late and I forgot to put your name and phone number. They're all your friends and family, but
Yeah, they know.
So what are we doing next week?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe autoimmune.
Okay.
Please.
Or just send me a thingy.
Okay.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, what?
No, I said I got a request for that topic, but don't know if the person is available to attend next week or not.
Well, yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
If not, there's a lot of, a lot of Mondays between now and May, so.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, are there any questions about Charley horses or anything at all? Nope. Okie dokie. Well, thank you all for coming. And if you ever need help, ask Denise. If she needs a second brain to kind of figure things out, she can always call me. And there's no reason why anyone should be sick or in pain or get Charley horses or any of these things, because we know more now than any other time in history. Yeah, I think there's an answer to every question. Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful 2020. I should have wished you Happy New Year's, but after 6 days into the new year, I forget. I'm still writing 2019 on my check, so it takes me a little while to actually remember when it is. But let's hopefully make it the best year, the healthiest year ever. Okie doke.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Mary.
Happy New Year. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.